Okay, so get this right. Imagine, like, AI being developed ethically, not just, as some, like, far-off idea, but actually happening right now.
Yeah.
This guy, Jay Poole, from the Tech Frontiers YouTube channel, he laid out these 10 commandments for ethical AI development in a recent article. And it's really fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
These aren't like, just theoretical things. They're like a real blueprint for building a future where AI actually benefits everyone.
I like that.
So the big question is, what are these commandments?
Yeah, lay them on us.
Let's just run through them quickly just to give everyone a sense of what we're dealing with here.
Okay.
Number 1, prioritize human safety above all else. 2, ensure transparency. 3, combat bias and discrimination. 4, respect privacy and data rights.
Okay, yeah.
5, design AI to empower, not replace, humans.
Interesting.
6, take responsibility for our AI. 7, continuously monitor and improve AI.
Keep going.
8, prevent malicious use of AI. 9, collaborate across borders and industries. And finally, number 10, keep humanity at the core.
I like that one.
Yeah, they're all pretty powerful, right? So let's unpack these one by one, starting with that first one. Prioritize human safety above all else.
It kind of seems obvious, right?
Well, yeah, on the surface.
Yeah.
But Poole really hits on something crucial. AI is already all around us,
Right.
In healthcare, transportation, everything.
Right.
So thinking about safety can't be an afterthought. It's got to be built in from the ground up.
Totally. And it's not just about, preventing physical harm either, is it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Take self-driving cars, for example. Obviously, avoiding accidents is huge, right?
Yeah.
But there's also the emotional side of things. Handing over control to a machine, that can be scary for people.
I could see that.
So how do we design AI that takes that into account? Like, how do we minimize passenger anxiety or make sure people feel safe? And then there's the whole security aspect.
Oh, yeah, hackers and all that.
Exactly. We got to make sure that these systems can't be exploited.
That's a big one. It's a whole web of considerations, but yeah, human well-being has to be at the center of it all.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, on to commandment number 2.
Yeah.
Ensure transparency. We hear so much about these black box algorithms these days,
Yeah.
where even the creators can't fully explain how the AI is making decisions.
Right.
This commandment seems to really push back against that.
Yeah, and for good reason. Transparency is like the foundation of trust, right? If we don't understand how an AI system works, how can we really feel comfortable using it? Especially in sensitive areas like healthcare or finance or the legal system.
Right.
Imagine being denied a loan with no explanation.
Oh, that'd be infuriating.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's why this idea of explainability is so huge in AI development right now. Researchers are really trying to make AI decisions more understandable, even if the underlying math is incredibly complex.
Right.
It's a tough challenge, but it's absolutely crucial to build public trust.
So transparency isn't just about knowing what the AI decided, but also why. Almost like having an audit trail.
Exactly. It's being able to trace back the logic, see the data, the factors that led to a specific outcome.
I see.
That way, if something goes wrong or, seems unfair, we can investigate.
Makes sense.
Figure out why. Accountability goes hand in hand with transparency.
Okay, that leads us to the third commandment. Combat bias and discrimination. This is a big one.
Yeah, definitely.
Because AI is learning from data, right?
Yeah.
And data reflects all the biases of the real world.
It's unavoidable. these AI systems learn from massive data sets. And if those data sets are skewed, the AI is going to inherit those biases.
Right.
It's like, think about facial recognition systems. If they're mostly trained on images of lighter-skinned people, they might struggle to accurately identify people with darker skin tones.
Oh, wow.
And that can lead to, all sorts of problems, misidentification, potentially even harmful consequences.
Yeah, it's not just a theoretical thing either, is it?
No. We've already seen this play out in law enforcement and other fields. It's a real issue.
It's like, I don't know, like teaching a kid with biased textbooks.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to learn a distorted view of the world.
Exactly. So we have to be incredibly careful about the data we use to train AI. It needs to be diverse, representative of the real world, and we need to constantly scrutinize it for potential biases.
And even then.
Even then, it's an ongoing process.
Right.
Because we have to monitor AI systems for bias even after they're deployed. making adjustments, retraining them as needed.
So it's like a constant process of checking and rechecking.
Exactly.
To make sure things are fair.
And it requires collaboration. You need developers, ethicists, domain experts, all working together.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the fourth commandment. Respect privacy and data rights. AI is hungry for data, right?
Voracious.
But where do we draw the line? We all leave these huge digital footprints online.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where things get tricky.
Yeah.
AI thrives on data. The more data, the better it can learn and perform.
Right.
But we as individuals have a right to privacy.
Right, of course.
Finding the right balance.
Yep.
It's a major challenge.
So what does respecting data rights actually look like in a practical sense?
Well, it starts with transparency and control. Users need to know what data is being collected about them, how it's being used, and they need to have the option to say no, to opt out.
Okay.
Then there are things like anonymization techniques, which can help protect privacy by stripping out identifying information from data sets. Secure data storage is huge, too.
Right.
And robust cybersecurity measures, obviously.
Yeah, to prevent breaches.
Exactly. It's a multifaceted challenge. But the core principle is clear. Personal data should be treated with respect.
Right.
Used responsibly.
It sounds like it's a continuous balancing act.
Yeah.
Between leveraging data for, innovation and progress
Yeah.
and protecting individual rights.
It is, and it's a conversation that needs to involve everyone. Developers, policymakers, everyday users.
We all have a stake in it.
We all have a stake in shaping how AI interacts with our data.
Okay, on to the fifth commandment.
Okay.
Design AI to empower, not replace humans.
Wow.
This speaks to that classic fear, right? The robots are coming for our jobs.
Yeah, the Terminator scenario. But Poole, he offers a different perspective.
Well, yeah.
He sees AI as a tool to augment human abilities.
Okay.
To help us do things better and more efficiently.
Interesting.
Think about it. Like a doctor using AI to analyze medical scans, not to replace the doctor's expertise, but to provide a second opinion, to maybe catch something they might have missed. Or an architect using AI to generate different design options so they can focus on the more creative aspects.
I see. So it's more about collaboration.
Yeah.
Humans and AI working together.
Exactly. It's about using AI's strengths, its ability to process huge amounts of data, identify patterns, automate tasks, but using those strengths to enhance human capabilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can be more efficient, more precise, more insightful with the right AI tools.
That's a much more optimistic outlook.
I think so.
Than the whole robots taking over scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
And it opens up all sorts of possibilities.
In pretty much every field, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. Think about it. Teachers using AI to personalize lessons for each student. Researchers using AI to accelerate scientific discoveries.
Wow.
It's huge if we focus on using AI to empower people.
All right, let's dive into commandment number 6. Take responsibility for our AI. It's easy to blame the algorithm when things go wrong.
Oh, for sure. Pass the buck to the machine.
Right. But Poole is saying, no, humans are still in charge.
And he's right. We can't just absolve ourselves of responsibility when AI systems mess up or, cause harm.
Yeah.
Someone needs to be held accountable.
But who? I mean, AI decision-making can be so complex.
It can be, which is why it's crucial to have really clear lines of accountability.
Yeah, we need to figure out who's responsible for the design, the development, the deployment, the ongoing monitoring, all of it.
Right.
And we need mechanisms for addressing harm caused by AI.
So it's not just about assigning blame. It's about having systems in place to deal with the consequences.
Exactly. It's about safeguards, technical safeguards, legal safeguards, to make sure AI is used responsibly and that people who misuse it, they're held accountable.
It's a tricky area, I bet.
Oh, it's incredibly complex. Lots of debate, lots of research still going on. But the basic principle, that's clear. We can't just wash our hands of responsibility.
Okay, on to commandment number 7. Continuously monitor and improve AI.
Yeah.
This sounds like it's about staying ahead of the curve.
It is. Developing AI, it's not a one-and-done thing. It's an ongoing process. You need to be constantly vigilant, adapting to new challenges.
So it's not just about fixing bugs. It's about evolving the ethical framework as AI itself changes.
Exactly. We need to constantly be on the lookout for bias, unintended consequences, potential for misuse, and we need to be ready to make adjustments.
Retrain the models, even.
Oh, absolutely. Even retire systems entirely if they're just not working out. It's a much more flexible approach.
So a constant process of learning and adapting.
Exactly. A real mindset shift.
Now, this brings us to commandment number 8. Prevent malicious use of AI. This one, this was a little bit scary, to be honest.
It is a concern. I mean, the same things that make AI so powerful,
Right.
they can also be exploited, right, for bad purposes.
Right.
Think about deepfakes, spreading misinformation, or even controlling autonomous weapons systems.
Okay, yeah. That is scary.
It's a real concern.
So how do we prevent that? I mean, technology is always evolving.
It is. There's no easy answer. But there are things we can do, like promoting international cooperation on AI ethics and safety.
Okay.
If we can set global norms and standards, for responsible development, it makes it harder for the bad actors to operate.
So it's like creating, like a global set of rules of the road for AI.
Exactly. And then there's cybersecurity.
Oh,
Making AI systems robust, resistant to hacking, and educating the public, too, about the dangers.
So people can be more informed.
More discerning. It's a multifaceted problem. It needs a multifaceted approach. But the bottom line is we can't ignore these risks. We got to be proactive.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to commandment number 9.
Okay.
Collaborate across borders and industries. It seems like AI is too big for any one country or any one company to handle alone.
Oh, absolutely. It's a global phenomenon. Research and development is happening everywhere. So to ensure ethical development, we need global collaboration.
So what would that look like, practically speaking?
Well, it could involve sharing research, sharing best practices, ethical guidelines, maybe working together to develop international standards for safety and security, or, creating forums for dialogue, where experts from different countries can share their perspectives, work towards common goals.
So it's about bringing everyone to the table, sharing knowledge, working towards a shared vision.
Exactly. It's recognizing that the challenges are too big to go it alone.
Yeah.
We have to work together, pool our resources.
All right. And finally, commandment number 10, keep humanity at the core. This one seems to tie everything together.
It does, doesn't it? It's a good reminder.
Yeah.
That AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. But ultimately, it should be about serving humanity.
Improving our lives.
Exactly. Helping us solve problems, create a better future.
So it's not just about the technical stuff. It's about the impact on people, on society, on the world.
Exactly. It's about making sure AI is aligned with our values, our hopes, our aspirations for the future.
Yeah. It's about making sure that as AI evolves, it evolves in a way that benefits all of us.
That's the goal. Going through these 10 commandments like this, it's pretty clear, I think, that Jay Poole, he's not just, laying down the law here. It's more like he's presenting a vision, for a future where AI is actually like a force for good.
He definitely is. Yeah. And he's not shying away from the tough questions either.
Yeah.
In fact, at the end of his article, he kind of throws down a challenge, I think.
Right, that call to action.
Yeah.
He wants the whole AI community, everyone, to come together and create a unified code of ethics, something that goes beyond like just competition and profit.
Yeah, that's a big ask.
It is.
He's basically saying, okay, we've identified these principles. Now let's actually put them into practice.
Yeah.
On a global scale.
It's ambitious.
For sure.
But I don't know. I kind of like that he doesn't pretend to have all the answers either. He even asks, what do you think? Are there other principles you'd add?
Well, I'm curious. What about you? Do you think these 10 commandments cover everything?
They're a good starting point, a solid foundation. But I think they definitely raise more questions than they answer.
Oh, for sure.
Like, okay, these are great principles, but how do we actually put them into action?
Yeah, right.
How do we make sure they're not just, empty words? Like, take that first commandment, for example. Prioritize human safety. What does that actually mean in the real world?
In a practical sense.
Yeah, like let's say we're talking about AI-powered medical diagnosis.
Okay.
Does that mean avoiding misdiagnoses at all costs, even if it means being overly cautious?
Right.
And potentially delaying treatment? Or what about self-driving cars?
Yeah, good example.
How do we balance the safety of the passengers with the safety of pedestrians, other drivers? It's a tricky balance.
Yeah, these are really complex questions.
They are. And that's where the real work begins, I think.
Right.
It's not enough to just state these principles. We need to really grapple with the nuances.
Yeah.
The trade-offs, the real-world challenges.
And we need to do it together.
Exactly. That's another thing that really stood out to me about Poole's article.
Oh, yeah.
He talks a lot about collaboration.
He does, yeah.
And I think he's right. That's how we're going to navigate these ethical waters.
Mm-hmm.
We need developers talking to ethicists,
Yeah.
policymakers talking to researchers,
Right.
and everyone needs to be listening to the public.
To people concerned.
To people's concerns. Exactly. It's about creating a dialogue, a shared understanding.
So it's not just about building better AI.
No.
It's about building a better future with AI.
That's a good way to put it.
One thing that struck me reading through these commandments is that they're not just about, like, preventing harm.
Mm-hmm.
They're also about promoting, human flourishing.
Yeah, that's a great point. We often get so caught up in the risks,
Right.
the things we want to avoid. But Poole, he's taking a much more, expansive view.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about using AI to empower people, to make our lives better, to help us create a world where everyone can thrive.
I like that. It's a much more, hopeful perspective.
It is. It reminds us that we have a choice in how we develop and use this technology.
Mm-hmm.
We can choose to focus on the risks, or we can choose to focus on the possibilities.
It's almost like we're at a fork in the road right now.
Yeah.
And the direction we choose will have a huge impact on the future.
It will. And these decisions we're making now, they'll have ripple effects for generations.
So no pressure then.
Right?
But seriously, it is a lot to think about. And I think Poole's 10 Commandments, they give us a great starting point.
They do. And they remind us that the future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're creating right now with every choice we make.
I think that's a powerful message. And it kind of leads us to a really interesting question, one that Poole poses at the very end of his article. If you could add an 11th commandment to this list, what would it be?
That's a tough one. But it's a good question, a question worth thinking about. Because AI is going to keep evolving.
Yeah.
And our ethical frameworks need to evolve with it.
Absolutely.
Right.
And maybe by asking ourselves these tough questions, really engaging in this kind of reflection, we can help ensure that AI leads us towards a future that we can all be proud of.
I hope so. And we are back for the final part of our deep dive into Jay Poole's 10 Commandments for AI development. It's been a really thought-provoking conversation.
It has, yeah. We've covered a lot, from transparency and accountability to preventing bias, misuse, the need for global collaboration, data privacy, that whole idea of AI as a tool to empower humanity.
Right.
But as we wrap up here, I'm curious, what really stuck with you?
Yeah.
What's your biggest takeaway from all this?
For me, it's the emphasis on human-centered design.
Yeah.
Poole, he keeps coming back to this idea, right, that AI should serve humanity,
Right.
not the other way around.
Right.
It's fundamental.
Yeah. It's not just about, building fancy systems. It's about building systems that actually align with our values, that make our lives better, that contribute to, a better future for everyone.
Totally.
It's easy to get caught up in the technical stuff, the algorithms, the data, the sheer power of it all.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's about how this technology affects people,
Oh.
how it shapes our world, our lives.
Absolutely. And that's why this whole discussion about ethics is so crucial, I think. We can't just let AI develop unchecked, just driven by market forces or whatever. We have to guide its development. Actively make sure it's being used responsibly, ethically, in a way that benefits everyone.
Right. So Poole, he ends his article with that call to action.
Yeah.
Urging the AI community to come together and create this, unified code of ethics. What do you think are the biggest hurdles to actually making that happen?
Well, I think one of the biggest ones is just, reaching consensus on what those ethical principles should be.
Yeah.
Different cultures, different societies, different people. They're going to have different ideas about what constitutes ethical AI.
Of course, yeah.
So finding common ground,
Yeah.
agreeing on shared values,
It's tough.
that's going to be a tough process.
It's almost like trying to create, a universal language for ethics.
Yeah.
They're one that everyone understands and agrees on.
Right. And then even if you can do that,
Yeah.
there's the challenge of actually putting it into practice.
Right.
It's one thing to say, okay, prioritize human safety, ensure transparency,
Right.
but it's another thing entirely to design systems that actually do that.
Right.
in every situation, in every context.
So it's about bridging the gap between theory and practice, between like high-level principles and real-world implementation.
Exactly. And that requires, it takes a lot of collaboration.
Yeah.
We need everyone involved. Developers, ethicists, social scientists, legal experts, policymakers, everyday users.
Right. Bring all those voices to the table.
Yeah.
It's a pretty monumental task.
It is. But I think, it's a necessary one.
Mm-hmm.
The stakes are too high to ignore.
Yeah.
AI has the potential to change everything.
For better or for worse.
For better or for worse,
Yeah,
exactly. And the choices we make right now, the foundations we lay, they're going to have huge implications down the line.
Generations to come, so no pressure then.
Right, no pressure at all.
Yeah.
But seriously, I think it's actually a really exciting time to be working in this field. We have a real chance to shape the future here, to guide AI in a way that benefits all of humanity. And I think that's a challenge worth taking on.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with that same challenge. Jay Poole asks, remember, if you could add an 11th commandment to this list, what would it be? Think about it. What principle do you think is essential for ethical AI development? And how can we all work together to make that a reality? It's a conversation that needs to continue, a journey we need to take together.
Well said. Until next time, everyone, keep diving deep.
And keep it ethical.